One of the things that really shapes our landscape is the atmosphere, because it provides water and wind and ice, and all those ingredients break up rock. Like water chemically attacks rocks. Minerals that form, say, in the Earth's mantle down about 100 kilometres away aren't really thermodynamically stable on the surface of the Earth. So if you add water to them and oxygen, it starts to break them down and those minerals form something else. And one of the things we have here is just illustrating some of the interesting rocks that we find that have been shaped during weathering. I particularly like these ones. This rock is actually a pebble that you can join together, but it's been split like that naturally by ice. So little cracks in the rock. Ice is one of the few substances that expands when it cools. And so you get water in there, it expands and it starts to act like a wedge and split the rock open. Some of these I showed you in my talk, these striations, the scratches on this rock. It's a pebble that's been carried along by a glacier and had other pebbles running over it. These beautifully highly polished quartz, fine-grained quartz rocks, again, have been polished by glacial action. And these are interesting, these pebbles, and I really like pebbles, as I said, because they've had this wonderful journey, but we find these on the around Port Campbell on the Otway coast, and they're actually volcanic rocks. But the interesting thing is they're volcanic rocks that we don't find in Victoria. So we think these are formed in the Rift Valley between Australia and Antarctic, and there was volcanoes in that Rift Valley as they were separating away, generating these sorts of lavas. And then during glacial action, those rocks have been broken up and carried along by glaciers, polished, and then deposited into glacial sediments. Then those glacial sediments have been eroded and are probably deposited in the Cretaceous in the sediments where we're finding dinosaurs and things like that now. And those sediments are now being eroded, releasing these beautiful pebbles. So they've gone through their own formation as a volcano, they've been deposited by glaciers, they've been redeposited in about 130 million years ago and are now being eroded and deposited on the beach in modern Victoria. So, but the interesting thing is they're volcanic rocks we don't find in Victoria. So those volcanoes may well be on Antarctica or in the Rift Valley that's now swamped by the Southern Ocean. So yeah, so there's lots of interesting, I guess, landforms and interesting shapes. This one's interesting. You find these down at the falls and those areas down near Lorne. And the honeycomb structure is because parts of the rock are harder than other parts, and the wind comes in and starts sandblasting the roof of the underhangs and whatnot, and the tougher stuff is more resistant, so it forms this nice honeycomb shape. So as I said, one of the big differences between us and the moon is we have the atmosphere, we have the water, the ice and the wind that shape our landscape.